Hello, friends. Thanks for joining me for another episode. This is the podcast for women who want to start over, pivot, or reinvent themselves, but not quite sure how or where to start on their journey. Or maybe you're a woman who's on their journey, but you need strategies, tips, and help along the way. This is the right place for you. I'm an expert in helping women just like you to gain the clarity you need so that you can decide what you want next and create a plan to make it happen. Friends, I want to remind you that my limited time beta offer for the Get Unstuck coaching program is live. I have put together a 21-day coaching program designed specifically for women navigating major life transitions. Registration is open for the Get Unstuck coaching program. And what you'll get is 3 one-to-one coaching sessions. You'll have Voxer access to me. You'll have a workbook. You'll have a bonus accountability challenge where you can land an additional coaching session with me. That beta group offer is live and it's available for anyone who is navigating a major life transition. If you feel stuck or overwhelmed, take a look. In the show notes, there's a link that will take you to the offer. You can book a clarity call with me, and I look forward to hearing from you. Friends, today we're talking about the mistakes that keep women stuck and overwhelmed, because I see and hear this a lot. You know, the journey of reinvention can be both exciting and challenging. And inevitably, women come to a place where they feel stuck. And that can be for a variety of reasons, but most commonly, it's women who don't know what they want next and they don't know how to find out. Or I see another group of women who really do know, they have a really good vision for what they want, but they're completely overwhelmed by all of the different parts that are required to make that vision a reality. And they're just overwhelmed about where to start. And so I'm here today to help you to avoid the biggest mistakes that keep women from feeling stuck and overwhelmed so that this doesn't have to derail your whole journey. So I've been thinking about what are the main mistakes that I see in women that keep them back. And I think there are several things, but I'm going to speak about some of the main things because I think these are the biggest ones that if you can avoid them, you'll be well on your way. The first thing is not recognizing that you're in a major life transition. So a major life transition is where one thing has ended and the new thing hasn't begun yet. And that space in between those things, which I call the in-between. So when I say something has ended, it's usually a major part of your life or a role that you've served for a long time. It could be the loss of a job or career. Maybe they've downsized and, they've let you go. Maybe it's a divorce or becoming an empty nester. Maybe some other major thing in your life has happened and that thing has ended. And you're being pulled towards something new, but you may not have the full picture of what that is. The other thing that may be the thing that has ended is just that you just feel no longer willing to live the way you've lived because it's no longer serving you. So that space in between is a major life transition. And I think very often women don't realize at first that they're in this major life transition. And so they try to resist the feeling, right? They just treat it as another challenge that they need to overcome. And because typically we are bold, fierce, intelligent, smart women who can get things done, we just keep pushing on like we always have done. I think the trouble with this is that this is uncharted territory. And so we can't approach it the way that we usually have with other things. We can't just see it as another bump in the road or another challenge to face. So I would say the very first thing is not recognizing that you're in a major life transition. And so one thing I would encourage you to do is just take stock of where you are and think about, is this a major life transition? Because if it is, you're going to need some different tools and different support to help you through it. I think the next thing that I see is women trying to go it alone. We fall into this trap because I just mentioned it in the previous point, but I think we fall into this trap because we're used to wearing all the hats, doing all the things, being superwoman, and often we not always have had the support that we need or required. And we just think, you know what? If I don't get it done, it's not going to be done. So I'm just going to get it done myself. This major life transition, this phase that you're in right now, isn't something that we should try to go it alone with, because as I said, it's uncharted territory and we need help and we need support as we go through this. I know you're used to doing things alone, but this is something that I would really advise you to get some support with community, family, close friends, other women going through similar things, a life coach, any of those things to help you through. I think another reason that women try to go it alone is because of the negative connotations of starting over at this age. A few episodes ago, I did an episode about why navigating a major life transition or a reinvention or a pivot is not a midlife crisis, and we need to stop saying that. But there is still a lot of shame, there's still a lot of negativity that can surround this phase or season of our lives, especially when we don't have a clear answer about what's next. And so I think we try to go it alone because if you don't tell anyone what you're up to, you don't have to explain yourself. Because the truth is, there is a time during this whole transition that we can't explain ourselves because we don't have all the answers. And so I think those negative connotations around starting over at this age is another reason we just try to keep our mouths closed, and we don't want to say anything until we are there, until we're at the new thing. Another reason that women try to go it alone, I think, is that you don't realize that there is help available. You perhaps think this is something private, this is a personal matter, who could possibly help me with this? So you have lots of options for help. I think coaching is an incredible tool for this because coaching is future focused. So it's not counseling, but it's future focused, helping you to get the clarity that you need, which is so important on this journey. But there's also groups of communities of women in similar journeys. Perhaps if you do have an idea of what you want to do, women who have accomplished what you have accomplished may be a really good tool or resource. And then you can use the internet for things like YouTube videos and other online groups that can help you. But the biggest thing here is not to go it alone, because there is help available, even in your own support networks. Think about your closest friends. If your reinvention doesn't, or your starting over doesn't involve getting rid of every single person some people have to end some relationships, but look at the relationships you have. Are there friends or connections that you have that can be a resource for you? I cannot tell you how powerful just a good conversation with someone who will listen to you and ask you the right questions and encourage you can be on this journey. And so I really, again, encourage you to not to try to go it alone, and look for the tools and resources that you need. If you need support, if you need coaching, that is what I do. I am an expert in helping women to decide what they want next and to figure out a plan to make it reality. So I help them to get that clarity. And so if you need that help, there is a link in the show notes for you to connect with me and book a clarity call. And let's see how we can work together to get you to where you need to be. The third thing I see as something that keeps women stuck and overwhelmed is failure to address the issue of identity. Friends, identity is who you are at your core, who God made you to be. It's the passions, the skills, the desires that are in you. And often our true identity is covered. We learn to suppress who we truly are. Sometimes we learn that in childhood. And then life experiences get on top of all of those things. Past seasons can create identities for us that aren't necessarily bad, but they aren't a full expression of who we truly are. And then there's the issue of sometimes we take on roles within our families, our friendship groups, our communities, the people we serve, even at work. And these roles define us, these labels. So maybe you're the person who everyone comes to with their problems. Maybe you're the person who bails everyone out all the time. Maybe you're the person who always drops what you're doing to put the needs of others ahead of you. Those roles, those labels aren't helpful, and they're not your true identity. And then if you've had the misfortune of being in relationships that aren't conducive to you being your true self, maybe you've always been the doting wife. Maybe you've always been the parent, and these aren't necessarily bad things, but if your role and your whole identity has been in parenting or being a wife, when the marriage ends or when the dynamics in that marriage change, when the children leave, your sense of who you are is lost because that's what you've always known. And so past seasons create identities that no longer serve us. And so the way to overcome this is to take stock of the roles and the labels that you wear that no longer serve you. And it can be a little bit painful sometimes, but it's also really freeing. And there's an exercise that I do with the women that I work with, and you simply just list down all the roles or labels. And when I say labels, they also may be things, lies that you've told yourself about yourself that aren't true. Maybe negative things that have been spoken over you as a child that shape who you are and how you think about yourself. And we need to shed all of those false labels. And so, as I was mentioning, an exercise that you can do is just list all of those things, every label that you have, good or bad, and cross off the ones that you don't want. Because then you make room to do the work of uncovering who you truly are. And when you do that, when you are clear about your identity, figuring out your purpose, your direction, what you want next becomes so much easier. The final thing I'm going to share around the mistakes that I see, and I've saved this one till last, is waiting until you have the whole plan, waiting until it's all together. If I could say one thing to every woman on this journey of pivoting, starting over, reinventing, is stop waiting. Stop waiting and do something. Do the work of identity, because when you do that, clarity will come. When you get clarity, you get direction. And when you have identity, clarity, and direction, purpose follows. Your purpose becomes clear. Friends, momentum comes when you move. God cannot direct a parked car or the universe or whatever you want to say. If you stay, the point is, if you stay stationary and direction is coming to you, you just spin in a circle. You have to take a step. And so rather than wanting to have the whole plan, how about instead thinking about what's the next step that I need to take? Because I can guarantee you that when you take one step and you complete that, instructions for the next and the next and the next step will come until you have the momentum that you need. But you must stop waiting for the whole plan in order to move forward, because that's a major reason why you're stuck. And it doesn't have to be that way, my friend. And so, to clarify, the 4 things that we've been over today are not recognizing that you're in a major life transition, trying to go it alone, failing to address the issue of identity, and waiting until you have the whole plan. Friend, those are the 4 mistakes that keep women stuck and overwhelmed. And it doesn't have to be that way. So friends, there you have it. If any of this has resonated with you, I want you to take action. I want you to address one of those issues in your life if you're stuck and overwhelmed. And I know that this issue of being stuck on this journey of navigating this major life transition is so common. It's a really common pain point, and I get it. Now, if this resonates with you, maybe you feel unclear about what you want next, Or maybe you're in that place where the old season is closed, but what you're going to do next isn't entirely clear yet. I want to remind you that registration is open for my Get Unstuck coaching program. If what I've said today resonates with you, this will be right up your alley. This is a beta group and it's a great opportunity to work one-to-one with me at a highly discounted rate. If you need help getting unstuck or navigating this major life transition, figuring out what's next and how to move forward, it would be my pleasure to work with you in this exclusive beta group. It's been in the pipeline for some time, friends, and I am beyond excited to be able to share this with you and get it out there. It's one-to-one coaching where we focus on getting you unstuck and creating a plan to get you going on your journey, creating a plan to decide what that next step is. You'll also have access to me with Voxer. We'll get this all done in 21 days. You'll have a workbook to keep you on track. And this is something that could really move the needle for you. So if you feel like you could use some help getting over this hurdle, please don't hesitate. There's a link in the show notes that will take you to the offer where you can book a clarity call with me so we can have a chat about if this is right for you. I look forward to working with some of you amazing ladies. And remember, you don't have to stay stuck. There are options available and you do not have to go it alone. Thank you for joining me today, and I will see you in the next episode.